sees herself as this black man from New Orleans.
So this is a white Irish woman
Yes.
in 2018
Yeah.
who had the same dream for 40 years
Yeah.
and dreams that she is a
Black man from New Orleans
Okay.
who's been committing murders.
Mm-hmm.
She says that she's had a lot of bad luck, which is just in general. But the reason why she believes that it's a black man is because when she has looked in the reflection within the dream and seen a black man looking back at her, and she doesn't know who the person is. Maybe she believes in reincarnation. She believes that maybe in a past life she was this black man from New Orleans. But other than that, her life has been pretty bad luck. She said that she was allergic to a ridiculous amount of things, always in and out in hospital over the last couple of years. She's allergic to grass, cats, dogs, horses, gala melon, mold, hazelnuts. She broke both of her legs, her back. She's broken my back around 4 bones. She's broken 4 bones in her back. She had 4 car crashes in 5 years. She's just not very good with luck, but she just has been having this reoccurring dream of a man from New Orleans.
I've not heard about this, but what's the question?
No, I just thought it was interesting. So I just thought the article was interesting that do you believe in reincarnation or past lives, or is it just energy? I just believe maybe it's just energy because, when you die, nothing goes anywhere, everything stays here. So
ashes to ashes, dust to dust type thing.
So maybe it's just, I don't know, maybe the energy from Joan of Arc might be in the soil, so that maybe because everything's reused, so through the cows eating the grass and you've eaten the meat, and so through the meat you've taken a piece of energy from someone else.
So on the generally believed to be pseudoscience, unbelievable side of this spectrum is homeopathy and that kind of thing, and remnants of XYZ's blood in water distilled 1,000,000 times, etc. The other side, the more side that I think is and has shown to be scientifically provable, in double-blind tests and peer-reviewed, all that kind of stuff, is stuff like morphic resonance, where you can effectively feel that you're being observed without knowing it. You can but you can feel active connections to and learn about and intuitively apparently know things that you've never experienced.
Yeah.
But when you're prompted to give the information, you can do that. So man, that story about the white Irish woman who's been having a dream every day, dreaming that she's a black man from New Orleans, that's mad.
Yeah.
But I don't know enough about, I guess that would be parapsychology. I don't know enough about that to comment, but damn, that's very interesting.
Yeah, I know. I just thought it was interesting that someone. What about
What else we got? Hit me.
mixed race?
Oh.
I saw this article today. If it loads up, oh no, it's here. It's the thing of mixed race people, or is the fastest growing ethnicity within the UK. Mixed race just means mixed heritage, where you could be Spanish and Italian, that's mixed race technically. The whole thing of race in general annoys me because race is used to define a colour or a shade of skin when race is human. There's no other race. Race is just something that's been constructed by us so we can categorize other people. So there was this girl who she's in this article, she's basically talking about how she has a white mother and an African American father, but for most of her life people have assumed that she's white because she's fairer skinned. And then she said that she just finds it a bit offending that she'll get asked questions like, is that your real father, and stuff like that. And that's the question it brought on board for me. It's just, I'm not mixed race, so I can't fully answer this question. But
Where are your parents from?
both my parents are Jamaican.
Cool. Both my parents are Ghanaian.
Yeah. But it's the question of, I always see this, like even in TV shows, when there's a mixed race character, there's always this question of, it's usually mixed between black or something else, but it's usually a thing of they have to choose a side of who they're supporting more of, or and if they choose the white side, then they're denying their black side, and if they choose the black side, they're denying the white side, and it's just all this, like, there's always a battle, or so why can't it just be I accept this? And it's like, I think she talks about it here, like although she's mixed race, she still supports the Black Lives Matter movement and stuff like that. So I don't know what my question is here. It's just, should they have to choose? They shouldn't have to choose, obviously, but
So, yeah, mixed race being, people defining as mixed race being the fastest growing culture across the world,
Yeah.
that's obvious, because if you look at how many black people were exported from Africa across colonial times,
yeah,
it's no surprise then that the amount of, like, people with black African heritage mixing with people without, or people that don't have black African heritage, that's not surprising to me. There's all of those predictions, the visualizations of, like, what the average human being will look like 100 years in the future,
Yeah.
and it's like, a mixed race person. They might have, like, you might have blue eyes and like frizzy hair and that kind of thing, but they may have, like, a darker than what we would call traditionally white Caucasian face, but like maybe more features that we define with being African, maybe like a larger nose and cheekbone. I'm not sure what the specifics are, but I know them when I see them. And so, yeah, like I think the mixed race as just a concept, as an idea, is still fairly fresh in, like, the global public mind. Being mixed race was literally illegal in South Africa during apartheid, which only ended, in people of it ended within our lifetime, the past 40 years or something. Do you know what I mean? So,
like, the categorization thing in the UK only came about in 2001, and I was
on
like,
British passports,
I was like, wow, that's actually not that long ago. But for me, I've always grown up knowing that there's mixed race people, so it's just,
So I think that in the ensuing, 10, 20, 30 years from now, the concept of being mixed race and just having mixed heritages will be way more cemented into just millions of more people's identities, and so naturally it will be less of a surprising thing to comprehend.
So is it just that maybe people's kind of like a thing of racism in a way, where like, although we fast forwarded to a point where there's a lot more powerful black people, there's not a lot of them, but there's a lot more than there was back in the day. That
but we still haven't dealt with the systemic underlying issues. And
exactly.
That's, very much with the mixed race issue as well. You can't talk about literally being mixed race without talking about, like, the one drop rule in standard racist psychology that posits, if you've got one hint, 124th of your heritage is black, then you're completely black. Do you know what I mean? That's the thing that doesn't go both ways, because there's still a difference in racial power dynamics.
Yeah.
And so you think, well, if we're now gonna understand mixed race heritage more, means we have to understand colonial history more. We have to understand why there are mixed race people from these national or state heritages, whatever they are. I think once again comes down to this understanding of the British Empire as something that's influences are still, across the world, actively shaping how the world is. We need to deconstruct and revolutionize those systems before we can have any truly new understanding of what it means to be mixed heritage outside of the existing power structures.
Yeah. So Brexit is my...
Brexit! Love it.
There's no real news on there, but at this moment in time, because it's the first of the year, and there's that we're meant to be signing the agreement that makes us leave the EU in March. I can't remember the date.
I think it's March 30th, if it's not to me, but yeah, you know, B-Day, Brexit Day.
And there's going to be, I don't know, what are we going to celebrate the day?
You can vote as well.
You know? But although we won't actually leave the EU until 2020.
Of course.
It's, I don't know. We won't have a revote because it's stupid, because it will just... I think it's stupid in the fact that if we have a revote just on Brexit, what else can I revote about? We didn't vote for the right Prime Minister, let's have a revote.
Referendums aren't elections though. Referendums are different.
I guess so, but it's just that concept of you didn't take we made a vote as a country, whether the information was there or not. The government decided...
The information wasn't there.
Yeah, 100% it was not there.
So, but does that not... Okay, so here's... Just to play...
devil's advocate.
No,
yeah.
not devil's advocate.
Ah.
Just to have Socratic dialogue.
Okay.
Yeah, because the devil don't need an advocate. He's the devil, but I quite like Socrates and I quite like dialogue. But no, just to throw it between us, there's like 6 or 7... Sorry. There's at least 6 or 7 active investigations into many parts of the multiple Leave campaigns that prove that they were unlawful.
Yeah.
Whether it's like, you know, dirty money, whether it's information that they weren't legally allowed to have, Cambridge Analytica. You think about just the way in which this referendum was conducted.
Yeah.
That alone, in many other instances, in terms of electoral politics. Sorry, in terms of practiced democracy in this country, so the actual way we do politics.
Yeah.
So many investigations would be reason enough in many other votes for us to just like, you know, put the thing on hold and be like, hold on, all of our information was based on, you know, unlawfully gained things and something like that. So that's one reason.
Okay.
Secondly, as well, just not having the information. I don't think that. And even if you can make the case that we were arguably well informed on the first vote, you can say that to have a vote now, you have to put it back to the people.
Yeah.
Because there's no consensus in Parliament, in the political parties, in the House of Lords, in the House of Commons, like however you want to split it in our representative democracy, the people who are meant to represent us,
they're not representing us.
Can't. No, it's not that they're not representing us only. It's that they can't come to an agreement on how to not represent us.
Yeah, I guess
Do you know
so.
what I mean? And so I'll be much happier, and I think it would be a better. It would be a more accurate practicing of a representative democracy if our representatives went, we don't know how to properly represent you, let's get a better and just another vote in so that we can have a better understanding of it. And I think that also what needs to happen is Article 50, it was an error triggering it immediately after the referendum because the referendum weren't even binding. It wasn't even...
I didn't think it was, no.
No. The only thing that made it binding was Article 50. As soon as we put that statute of law through, it meant that we had to leave on that date. That's like, you know, that started the clock. Otherwise, we could have sat there and twiddled our thumbs got our ducks in a row, sorted out what it would actually be like to leave the European Union, had all of those debates then, but of course, no. Jeremy Corbyn immediately triggered Article 50. Theresa May was like, Jeremy Corbyn immediately called for Article 50 to be triggered, and Theresa May was like, yeah, boom. Because, you know, the Tory party in Europe have a long history of letting it destroy their party. And Jeremy Corbyn wants the Tory party to destroy themselves, and then he can sweep into power once they've, you know, shot themselves in the foot.
Yeah.
But Jeremy Corbyn's another question. Yeah, that's roughly where I am on Brexit
so.
right now, as of the first week of January 2019.
I guess it's another way of looking at it. I didn't think about it like that. If it could be, we didn't have to leave. If the referendum itself wasn't legally binding until Article 51, then we could have literally. So, could we have found out more? Did the referendum have to be when it was, or could we have waited maybe until now to have the referendum?
Well, no, like David Cameron. So it was in the 2015 Tory Party manifesto that they were going to hold a referendum in the next Parliament.
Okay.
And that was under fixed-term Parliament rules, so that was 5 years. So there was always going to be a referendum between 2015 and 2020. He called it early, and I suppose there didn't have to be a referendum then, but there was going to have to be a referendum quickly.